Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing Speak Like a Native Part 2. So if you haven't seen the first part of the video, it will be linked probably above or down below in the description box. So please go check that out before you watch this video. So we're going to have the same structure as last time. We're going to be talking about students who use the word very before words very often. So we're going to get rid of that and change it for just one word that is better than those. So let's start with number one. For number one, we have very sad. So it's very easy to just say, oh, I'm feeling very sad. However, instead, you could use another word that sounds better. For example, you could say I'm upset or I'm down. So you can say I'm feeling down. An example sentence could be, I'm feeling a bit down or upset right now. I could really do with relaxing for the weekend. For number two, we have very cold. So obviously cold, quite a simple word to use, hot, cold. These are really basic words in English. So you can actually change this to two other words that I have. So you could change it to freezing or the British English word for chilly. But actually freezing means that it's really, really cold. An example sentence is, it's normally freezing during December to February in Moscow. For number three, we have very clear. So if something's very clear, it just means that basically you can understand that thing. But instead of saying very clear, you can use the word obvious. So I'll give you an example. Isn't it obvious that you've done that question wrong? On to number four, we have very mean. Now, a lot of students actually don't know what the word mean means. And actually, obviously, it's got two meanings to it. So if I call someone mean, I mean that they are not a very nice person. But instead of saying very mean, you can use some other words like cruel or nasty. So this is when you really, really don't like someone. An example is, one of my teachers is really nasty and all of the students are really scared of her. On to number five, we have very nice. Again, very similar to like hot and cold. This is such a basic word to use in English, so it's better if you use some other vocabulary. And an example could be kind. So you can just call someone kind, means they're a very nice or polite person. An example is, my auntie is a very kind person and always takes care of us. For number six, we have very happy. So this is what I just spoke about before. Sad and happy are so basic, so it's better to use some other words. And a synonym for happy is ecstatic. So when you are extremely happy, you can say I'm ecstatic. And another example is, I was ecstatic when I received a new laptop for Christmas. Number seven, we have very warm. So this is kind of the opposite, obviously, to cold, but again, very, very basic. So you can use some other words like hot or boiling. So boiling is when it is extremely hot. And I'll give you an example sentence. It's boiling in August in Turkey, so it's best to stay by the pool. Number eight, we have very long. So very long, like short, again, very, very simple vocabulary. So you can just change this to lengthy or extensive. So this can be used obviously for measurements and other things that are very long. For example, your essay or something like that. And an example is, I have an extensive essay to write for the end of the semester. Number nine, very sorry. Now this is even something that is very commonly used by native speakers, but it is, of course, very basic. So you can actually change the word sorry and just say apologetic, which means exactly the same thing. And an example is, I'm apologetic for lying to my cousin. For number 10, we have very boring. So again, boring, very, very commonly used even by natives, but you can change this to another word, which is dull. And an example is, that book was really dull and didn't intrigue me at all. Number 11, very crowded. So very crowded, as you guys know, just means when there are probably a lot of people in one place at the same time. And actually there are some other words that you can use instead of using the word crowded, and they are chock-a-block, which is one you would have seen in my previous video from the British English video, or bustling. Again, that means there's a lot of people around and it's very crowded. And an example is, London is always bustling with people during Christmas time. For number 12, we have very small. Again, a very basic word. So of course you can just change this to two other words, which are petite and tiny. So petite, of course, we took that from the French word, but it is still very commonly used in British English. And an example could be, we wanted to buy a new house, but most of the gardens were tiny. For number 13, we have very ugly. So ugly, not a very nice word to use, but sometimes it is relevant. So you can change the word ugly to hideous. And actually hideous is a very, very strong word, so you only say that if you think something is extremely ugly. And an example is, sorry Amy, but that dress looks hideous on you. Perhaps a yellow one would be more suited. For number 14, we have very wet. So instead of saying, outside it's very wet because it's raining a lot, you could say it's soaked or soaking. You can use both of these depending on the context. So I'll give you an example. I got absolutely soaked walking around Edinburgh because it was pouring it down with rain. And for the last one, number 15, we have very dirty. So instead of saying dirty, you could use another word, which is filthy. And an example is, his room was filthy, so his mother told him to clean it all weekend. Okay guys, so that is it for this video. If you would like to see a part 3, please leave a comment down below, and also leave a comment giving me some examples of other videos that you guys would like to see. So I'll see you in the next class.